Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra, and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the trading setup as well as the market strategies that you need to follow for the day. Let's start off with a quick recap of what happened in the markets last week, especially on Friday. Remember, the RBI surprised the markets by announcing a larger than expected 50 basis points cut in the repo rate, along with a 100 basis points reduction in the cash reserve ratio as well, spread over four tranches. And this aggressive monetary easing has actually triggered a sharp pull or the rally in the markets as well. We saw the Nifty Bank hitting a fresh record high, the financial services as well at an all-time high level as well. The Nifty Real Estate Index soared by almost 5% on Friday too. Even the Nifty had gained about 250 points to end above 25,000 mark, the highest close since May of 16. We comfortably closed above that psychological level. This also marks the end of a 2 week of losing streak. So Friday's gain really helped the markets log positive return for the week after two consecutive weeks of declines. In fact, we also saw the broader markets in a winning streak as well, hitting a 5-month high. Now, what we want to also understand is how the markets will be shaping up week. Of course, globally, there will be global headwinds, unexpected shifts in the US tariffs, ongoing geopolitical tension. That may continue to be an overhang in terms of volatility. But even on Friday, when we see the Wall Street, they ended higher last Friday on better than expected non-farm payrolls data that eased on the fears of economic slowdown. Now, US payrolls have climbed to 139,000 in May, government data showed. And after that, what we've also seen is that the Dow Jones forecast was 125,000, so much above the estimate levels there. So the Dow Jones, S&P 500, NASDAQ, they ended over 1% each on Friday as well. Now, of course, apart from that, we've seen that the US jobs number has alleviated concerns of an imminent economic slowdown. The US Treasury yields, the 2-year Treasury yields ended above 4%. 10-year yields was up by about 11 basis points to 4.5%. Dollar index slightly higher at 99.19, and Brent crude also inched up by 1.8% at $66.5 a barrel as well. Of course, gold prices, they inched slightly lower. Asian markets, they were higher this morning. What we saw was that investors are now awaiting trade talks between Washington and Beijing later in the day. Nikkei was up by about 1%. South Korea added about 1.7% in trade. Australian index was closed for a public holiday. But what we've also seen is for the GIFT Nifty futures, again, they're indicating a higher start for the Indian equity markets. Just about 7 minutes from now in the pre-open, we might see a reflection of above 25,160, as is being indicated by the GIFT Nifty right now. As far as the flows are concerned now, foreign portfolio investors again turned net buyers of the Indian equity markets, buying stocks worth about 1,000 odd crore rupees. Domestic institutional investors stayed buyers for 14 straight session, bought equities worth 9,342 odd crores. But remember, there's a impact of the block deals that are consistently taking place here. So that's something that we will be watching out for. Again, in trade today, Suzlon is something that will be important to watch in terms of the block deal that's being indicated at this point in time, that in the block deal window, it has taken place at the level of 66. And that's something that could be important to track. But let's welcome our guest on board. We have Mr. Chakri Lokpriya, CIO of Equities at LGT Wealth, now joining in. Warm welcome to you, Chakri, and good to have you with us, as always, at the start of the week. Help us understand your view on the markets. I mean, so much has happened over the Friday and the weekend as well that we need to discuss. But let's start off for a change from the domestic cues, since they were the ones that really pulled that trigger that was needed after a consolidation of a long time. The RBI policy. What do you think has led the RBI to pull out this bazooka? Better than expected 50 basis points cut at the same time. I mean, a lot of people would in cricket parlance will say that, he's actually shot up above the run rate as well by hitting a 2. So help me understand, how would you look at this? And even when we talk about CRR, that's also added on. And apart from that, even the stance has been changed to neutral now. So what are the cues that you would look at as a market experienced person?
And thanks for having me. Always good to be on your show. I think RBI did a fantastic job in cutting both the interest rates by 50 basis points and the CRR by 1%. Both of them are success very much needed to create a winning match situation. And this, if you actually look back, the interest rates even now after the cut are still higher than the pre-pandemic rates. pre-pandemic rates were about 4.5% odd. So even after this rate, there is a good another percent higher. So that actually even with the neutral stance, it provides RBI the room to cut rates further, provided inflation remains in control and within RBI's target rate. So what this does is it gives the much needed shot on the arm, because rather than an incremental thing, it helps boost liquidity releases, and that boost will allow banks to and NBFCs to lend and with at a profitable level. So their NIMs will improve. But at an even more important point, it provides them the incentive to lend at favorable interest rates. So this is needed for consumer as well as corporate as well as the government. It will help government infrastructure push, consumer home lending, I mean home borrowing rates, etc. will come down, both home, auto, and as well as for the corporate, say working capital costs will come down. So it is positive all along.
Positive all along. So I think the immediate reflection was seen on the Nifty Bank Index, financial services, real estate to be specific. What specific sectors would you be betting big on from here on if one has to go with the trigger of the RBI?
All the cyclicals I think will benefit. Whether in cyclicals, it's industrials, it's the consumer discretionary, and the financials. So within the cyclicals, real estate, clearly, with interest rates now 1% lower than 4 months ago, because you've had 150 basis points plus 25 basis points cuts. So with interest rates 1% lower, home buyers, EMIs come down, as well as existing EMIs come down. Second, automobile companies, whether it's M&M, Bajaj Auto, they'll all benefit for people buying cars on EMIs. And second is industrials as a space will benefit, and obviously financials.
Okay, fair point. Now, apart from this, just wanted to understand the liquidity push and how will that impact the bond market? Do you believe the bond yield curve would flatten out? Or do you actually see, when the announcement was made, of course, there was, a move there. But where do you see the bond market headed from here on currently?
No, it's clearly good because it provides a much needed liquidity even in that end. So the long end of the curve will happily benefit from this whole point. And because all long dated instruments will clearly benefit in price, and it will bring down and reprice a lot of loans that corporates take out.
Okay, fair point. So that's something that we will definitely keep an eye out on. Let me just now come to the global aspect, and we can again discuss, of course, block deals and so many aspects that we need to discuss back home. Globally, what we've seen is that the public spat between Donald Trump and Elon Musk is what has been making headlines. But does it really change anything with respect to all the traders who were watching what's happening overseas on the trade policies, so to speak?
I don't really think it adds any policy uncertainty, because there has been policy uncertainty from
Yeah.
April 1st onwards.
Yeah.
The number of tariff changes, the rates it went from 10% to 135 for China, came back to 50. Steel has gone from 25 to 50. So it has been a constant. So there is no clarity on the US tariff front. But India clearly, is not as negatively impacted as some of the other manufacturing countries. So that way, India is on clearly a good wicket because it's a services economy. And with hopefully this tariff negotiations conclude between India and the US will benefit.
Okay, fair point. In fact, we are awaiting the discussions between US and China. And of course, this week we should be getting some indication as far as how the progress has been made on the Indian front as well on the trade deal. We're looking at the pre-open rates around 25,000, flattish with a positive bias of a move on the higher side is what we see. But we'll see how it really pans out, and we will come to that aspect as well. Locally, when we talk about Mr. Lokpriya, I wanted to understand as far as the big block block deals that are taking place. What is the big takeaway from there? Already, May has seen 60,000 crore plus of block deals that have taken place. Today, again, is the Tanti family that's expected to offload in this block deal, within Suzlon that has been in focus again. There are some reports that are indicating that even for the rest of the 6 months of this calendar year, we'll continue to see large amounts of promoter stake sales take place that could probably be record setting as well. How would you really assess what's really happening on the ground for the retail investor? Does it really change anything if one is heavily invested in the companies that is seeing promoter stake sales?
It can be looked at two ways. The positive way of looking at it is, with the markets rising and promoters, some of the block sales actually are providing some liquidity for either their company or for themselves. If it is for the company, then it's a good thing because they're positioning themselves well. In the case of Suzlon's case, this is for I think it's for their family office. But Suzlon as a company is very well positioned to benefit from the renewable energy space. So I wouldn't read too much into for Suzlon.
Okay, but are you positive on Suzlon from these levels as well, sir? Do you think this still has a lot of steam on the upside?
Absolutely, yes. The results have been extremely strong. The outlook is still very, very strong. Renewable and energy as a space is clearly, here to stay. And the company has a lot of near-term catalysts. Whether worldwide, there was initially some confusion about worldwide some tariffs being removed by the US
Yes.
government specifically. But locally, still renewable is very important, lowest import bill for India. Therefore, I think it still is a very positive space.
Okay, got that. We'll talk about Suzlon and we'll talk about some of the other stocks that are in news as well. Asian Paints is the other one from the large cap paint space that I wanted to bring up for you, sir. We have been seeing that how quarter on quarter the company has been facing, troubles when it comes to competition. Even when we have spoken with the management, they are saying that, they continue to retain the largest amount of market share and they are unfazed with the kind of competition that's springing up. But now we are actually seeing that the spat is in the open because Grasim, and Birla Opus has actually lodged a complaint against Asian Paints with the Competition Commission of India, accusing Asian Paints, the market leader, of abusing its dominant position. So probably what's being understood from all our reports and sources is that Asian Paints is using its advantage to threaten the dealers to stop their dealings with Birla Opus at this point in time, lest they will face some credit rollback and some other measures. Now, how would you really understand what's really happening with Asian Paints at this point? Again, what should one read through?
The existing paint players, whether it's Asian Paints, Berger, all of them have lost market share, will continue to lose market share with the entry of Birla, JSW, because these are big players with established chains themselves who are coming into the market. So I think we will see a lot of this noise. But more importantly, Asian Paints, Berger, Kansai Nerolac, all these companies will very unlikely that they will trade at the multiples that they traded at. The multiples have come down and are likely to come down even further. So therefore, I would stay away from because it as a sector has become low margin, low profitability, and therefore should trade lower.
Okay, paints space could actually be looking at some headwinds continuing, so rather stay away at this point in time. Okay, let's look at the other space, and that's the commodity exchange MCX that's in focus today. MCX has obtained an approval from SEBI to introduce electricity derivatives as well. So that's another space that the company is now looking to expand in. I wanted to understand from you, how would you really look at, MCX at this point? Does that also benefit IEX in any fashion? How would you look at it?
This is an fast evolving space, and in the future, you would need a lot of trading of electricity futures, and because as we try to move to a one nation, one grid, that becomes even more important. Against that backdrop, and exchanges would benefit more than the producers themselves because it's a regulated industry. So greater volumes at the expense of lower margins will still kindly benefit this because prices are likely to come down even further. But the volume, it's become a volume game. So we'll have to wait and watch how much they can garner over time.
Okay, fair point. Let's also discuss some of the other aspects as well. Cement space is something that I wanted to bring your attention to. We've discussed the paint space. There's again a lot of mergers and acquisitions taking place. JK Cement has now acquired 60% of Saifco Cements for 149 odd crore rupees as well. We've also been seeing a lot of large cap companies entering into a merger and acquisition space as well. How would you look at cement basket at this point in time? Do you still feel confident only staying with the upper layer, the large caps like Ultratech for that instance, or do you think there is enough to be even looked at when we talk about the mid cap companies, sir?
Like you rightly pointed out, Ultratech and Ambuja still are the leaders.
Yeah.
But they have started off the whole consolidation game. So companies like Dalmia Bharat, JK Cement, who are all fairly good companies in their own right, they've also gotten into the game, which is a good thing for the sector. And therefore, I think we can broaden out our thing from the Ambuja and Ultratech, and also look at JK Cement, Dalmia, so because they are the next rung leaders, then they'll also do well in an environment where volumes are picking up.
Okay, so that's as far as the cement space is also concerned. Also, just to understand a little bit on the broader market side, so mid and small caps. So, any key sector that's giving you the confidence right now to probably build on for the positions?
In the broader market, it's I think industrials, all the capex related items. In fact, most of the real estate companies are in the broader market. Industrials, which are whether it's renewable, defense, railways, all of them come in the broader market. There's still sufficient amount of earnings growth, and the earnings growth is likely to be faster than that of the large cap. So, given that, we're still very positive on not as an overall market, as a broader market, but there's enough to pick
Yeah.
from.
Okay. But when we talk about the overall markets also, I mean, the recovery that's taken place from the last 1 week, 10 days, or after a long consolidation, does that give you any sort of confidence that the worst is now behind us and we are all set to look up? Of course, one is the trigger that's been provided by the RBI. The global overhang might just probably stay for one more month till the time we get more clarity on the tariffs policy. But apart from that, do you think most of things are in place to really push Nifty higher from here?
Yeah. Globally things have been extremely uncertain, as we all know. And tariffs, while the so-called deadline is still July 1st, but we never know with how whether it'll actually be implemented or not. So that
Yeah.
uncertainty, I think, is likely to continue to stay. But India is on a firm footing. Both the fiscal deficit is at 4.2%, a very strong, good number, and corporate balance sheets are strong, valuations are reasonable. So I think all these are good catalysts for the markets to move higher.
Hmm. Okay. And how would you look at, say, for instance, what was so far being a dominant space among asset classes, gold and silver, that were so far outpacing? We have been seeing again some consolidation on that front, even though silver shot up over the last 1 week. Gold prices have been ebbing slightly lower. So when it comes to the comparisons between the asset classes, has your position changed at all?
I think gold as an asset class continues to remain an attractive asset class, given the uncertainty that we've seen in the world, and that uncertainty is likely to stay. It's not just that tariffs will suddenly be reset and the world suddenly magically is a better place. So with that uncertainty going to continue, I think there will be rounds of profit booking, given that gold has run up so much. But
Yeah.
so therefore, yes, absolutely, still as gold as a class looks great, and silver is now moving up.
Okay, got that. What we'll do is we'll also welcome Vaishali Parekh, Vice President of Technical Research and Analysis, Prabhudas Leeladhar, to also join in on the panel with us. It's 9:10, and we are now getting some indications from the pre-open already that the Nifty is ready to open above 25,150. We could be seeing another record opening for the Nifty Bank as well in the pre-open 57,049. That is something that we could be seeing for the Nifty Bank as well. Vaishali, I think the days of record highs on the index level are now finally coming back when it comes to the frontline indices. How are you looking at the market sentiment?
Very good morning, Sakshi. Very good morning, Chakri. Yes,
Good,
so
good
market
morning.
has been in a euphoric move. We saw Friday was a good day, and well, we were projecting higher targets, and so that's where precisely we are. Nifty currently is showing a gap up opening. So, well, this still continues to be a hurdle. We need to sustain about 25,200 on technical levels. So for this week, now we elevate our support levels to 24,700, and we would be now aiming for a target of 25,600. Bank Nifty
Okay.
already outperforming. We are looking at 57,500.
57,500 on the Nifty Bank and higher levels even for the Nifty to the levels of 25,500. That's something that we would be now looking at as well. Vaishali, any key stocks that you're looking at for today that one should know of?
So, well, in the banking sector, I'm looking at Axis Bank. It showed very strong candle on Friday, and right now also it is showing strength. So, this is one of the stocks I think technically well placed, and this is poised for a target of 1250, 1280. But I think overall it is a bullish bias. I would look at the mining stocks also. Have a look at
Okay.
Vedanta, have a look at NMDC. These are all looking positive for days to come.
Okay, fair point. So those are some of the key stocks that one could be looking at. Again, banks and financial is something that we also began our discussion with Chakri as well. Chakri, when we talk about the banks, would you still be confident of the large cap banks? Would you still throw your weight behind ICICI, HDFC? Are you willing to go lower rung as well? How about IndusInd Bank? Slowly there have been some improvement, but does it give you the confidence, or are you still staying away there? What about Yes Bank? So much of news flow has happened, of stake sales, stake purchases there. How would you look at it?
As Vaishali mentioned, I think Axis Bank still looks very strong.
Okay.
Now, it can also now include all the housing companies, housing finance
Yes.
companies like Punjab, PNB Housing, Canfin Housing, because they'll all benefit from the RBI rate cut, and so will NBFCs. Shriram Finance, Chola Finance. These companies again. You will begin to see traction because they'll start benefiting. Their NIMs will kind of start improving. And most importantly, for all of them, the common thing is volume of business will pick up.
Okay. And how about the PSU banks also, Chakri? How would you look at that aspect? PSU banks.
While there are some talks that they'll benefit less, but the fact of the matter is everybody will benefit. So it's just an incremental thing. So we'd still buy an SBI, a Canara Bank, Union Bank would still buy that because they would also clearly benefit from the government's infrastructure push and higher volume growth.
Right. And within NBFCs, what would you prefer? Would you again go with the housing finance companies that you reiterated, or do you think we have some more names that we can add to that list?
In addition to housing finance companies, also the commercial financing companies like Shriram Finance, Chola Finance, because sales of CV vehicle sales, things like that, they'll all start increasing, which Shriram Finance would benefit from.
Okay, got that. So that's as far as the entire banking realm is concerned, and both Vaishali and Chakri have shared their updates there. Vaishali, real estate is something that I want you to focus on. I think 4.7% of an uptick on Friday as well, and we're looking for some more signs, maybe about a percent opening on the higher side yet again. Today, global brokerage firm HSBC has a buy rating on three of them. They actually expect about a 55% upside from the current levels, and that's one of your favorites too. Godrej Properties is where they expect a 55% upside from the current levels. How would you look at real estate?
The real estate index itself has given a breakout. So, of course, having said that, one must consider most of the frontline stocks. And Godrej Properties, actually, as you know, always a recommendation because I think among the frontline, this is one of the stocks that I would rely on. The other one would be DLF, of course, a trading strategy. So I think DLF also, once it moves, I think I'm looking at a target of 930 or so from here on. So yes, Loda, DLF, top of the line would be Godrej Properties.
Okay, Chakri, your top pick from realty, what would that be?
In addition to DLF, I think companies like Shobha, Prestige, these companies, while they have run up a little bit, they're still way off where they were 1 year ago. And their earnings have been good, and now this rate cut will again help them further.
Okay, let's look at the market opening now and look at some levels, and we'll come back to our conversation with both Chakri and Vaishali in just a bit. Let's start off with the Nifty first, a 0.5% uptick, 25,122. We are getting that positive indication come through. Strong move right now. Let's look at even the Nifty Bank at this point in time to see whether those record levels have come in onto the Nifty Bank as well. It's 56,897, about a 0.6% of a strong move. In fact, the screen is getting greener. 1560 advances to 251 declines, completely in favor of the bulls. Mid caps also up by 0.6%. Apart from the mid caps, you can see one of the large cap spaces, IT, also is opening about 0.5% higher. So it's a broad based move that you're seeing. Nifty up 0.5%, Nifty Bank up 0.5%, mid caps up 0.6%, small caps even further up 0.8% higher. IT stocks are hovering higher by almost 0.5% as well. So we are seeing that very strong move come through across the board at this point in time. Let's start off by looking at some of the heavy weight stocks that we must track. Asian Paints. Let's start off with that one to see if the color is red, as the news flow is slightly on the negative side for the space today. Let's look at that. Let's look at the banks, HDFC, ICICI. Let's also pull up Axis Bank that both Vaishali and Chakri have also pointed out. Asian Paints, not too bad. There's a 0.2% of an uptick on that one. Banks are also hovering higher. Let's pull up the IT stocks, TCS, Infosys, HCL Tech. And those are the heavyweight spaces that may provide us some indication of how the markets may be shaped up. I think it's a green across the board there too. On the sectoral front as well, I think just barring real estate, which is opening flat, rest all of the sectors are opening higher in trade. Oil and gas, capital goods, energy. We also have names within the defense, also about 0.3%. Our financial sector, we have discussed metals, FMCG, auto space as well. We are looking at a positive start. On the Nifty, you have Shriram Finance, Axis Bank, Geo Financial as among those top movers. ONGC, Trent, Infosys, these are the stocks. Coal India as well, opening a percent higher. These are the stocks that are opening at with gains. On the lower end, SBI Life, Apollo Hospitals, Nestle, just a far few between stocks, JSW Steel, Tata Steel, as those stocks that are hovering lower. But just barring these 4-5 stocks, rest all of the stocks, about 45 of them, are up into the green as far as the Nifty is concerned. Record high moves continue on the Nifty Bank, and we are now inching closer to 57,000 odd levels. So that's something that we will continue to keep an eye out on as well. Let's quickly come to Vaishali. Vaishali, how would you look at the opening that's happened today?
Well, it's a positive start when overall we are seeing good momentum coming in almost all stocks. So right now, to my liking, there are two stocks. One is Bandhan Bank, which has come out of its consolidation. It's a good rounding pattern. So I think if it sustains above 174, 175, current market price is 177, I would look at 190 to 210. So that is one of the stocks. And as we mentioned, the mining stocks like NMDC, they are showing strength.
Okay, got that. That's the view as far as some of the key sectors and stocks are concerned. Let's actually pull up some of the strong names from the Nifty 500 basket. Enough and more action to really look at from there too. You have Hyundai that's up by about 5.5% today. That's the one that's doing well. You have Reliance Power, IEX, MCX, all up and about in trade. Then you have Aditya Birla Capital, IIFL, also opening into the green. Those are the stocks that are clearly opening higher in the broadest index right now. Even when we look at the index contributors right now, you will be able to spot a lot of stocks. Infosys, L&T, Reliance Industries, Axis Bank, Kotak Bank, they're all supporting the sentiments as far as the markets are also concerned. Chakri, how about Reliance Industries? How are you looking at the company at this point in time after some recovery has already taken place?
Yeah, Reliance has not done much for the last quite some time now, and all the ingredients now are in place. The capex is done, valuations are attractive, and whenever there's an overall momentum at the index level, Reliance also will benefit, and it's an undervalued stock. So yes, Reliance good.
Reliance is something that one can definitely look at. Okay, what about the food delivery giants? Sakri, last week, did you look at the spectacular move that we saw on both Zomato and Swiggy? What after that? We have discussed this space with you before, but how would you gauge that? Yes, there is still a lot of upside, or one should be now cautious after the move.
Even after the move, if you look at Swiggy, it's still trading below its IPO price.
Okay,
Um,
yes.
and uh, and if you look at its valuation, it still trades at, I think, a good at least 40-50% discount to Zomato. And then the third is finally, if you look at, for instance, its longer term potential, it still trades only at about 3-4 times revenue,
Yeah.
which for because anyway it's a loss making company and all that. So given all this, I think given their leaders, I think there is still some more upside. Even the IPO price itself was a fairly decent number.
Okay. Vaishali, anything that you would like to pick from the new age tech basket beyond Zomato and Swiggy as well?
So, well, there is PB FinTech, there is Paytm. So these are the stocks which we have been speaking about since quite a while. So PB FinTech also, if you see, it's a good chart to look at. It's in a trend, and right now also we are seeing that yes, it is showing an upward move. I would say keep a range of 1700 as support. In all likelihood, this can go towards 2200. So this is one of the stocks which looks positive currently.
Okay, got that. So that's as far as the new age tech space is concerned. Suzlon, by the way, is reacting positive after that block deal has taken place, 1.5% higher in trade. So it's a green start for that one as well. Let's actually look at some of the other spaces too, what we can spot. Let's try and pull up some of the spaces within the mid caps and small caps as well, broader markets to see where the move is coming in from. Hindustan Zinc is up in trade today. You also have NTPC Green, Muthoot Finance, Bandhan, something that Vaishali pointed out is up. M&M Finance is up. KPIT Technologies, AU Small Finance Bank, Polycab is up. NHPC, that's also up in trade. Let's in fact discuss the renewable energy basket that we haven't touched upon today with Sakri today. Apart from Suzlon, of course, Suzlon is something that you already marked out. But what about the rest of the spaces? Where else do you see some value that one can still, probably look at from the current levels too?
You just mentioned, NTPC Green. That's a company
Yeah.
which has huge amount of potential. It has some 60 gigawatts that they're going to produce in the next few years. It's still again very close to its IPO price, attractively priced. So I think there's enough to buy in that space, and so is Adani Green as well. Adani Green, there's still a lot of expansion ahead of them.
Okay, so Adani Green, NTPC Green, these are the stocks that one could definitely look at as well. Okay, we have news just coming in. HDFC has also cut the lending rates now. Remember, there were at least three companies in three banks, largely the PSU banks, that followed up the RBI rate cut with their own lending rate cuts. Now, HDFC Bank has cut the lending rate cut by about 10 basis points across tenures. That is what we are seeing. Chakri, do you think the passing on is in the same quantum, or is it really delayed? How are you really looking at that aspect? Does that question mark still remain?
That historically has been an issue with banks where there's not an instant pass through. It take more time, and the reason they do that is because to protect their own net interest margins, they stagger out the cut to manage their asset liability mismatches. And so, what let net if you fast forward another few months, they would have passed it through. So that is what is expected. I think we're fine.
Okay, and how many more cuts would you probably pencil in for this year? Do you think we are at least halfway through or more when it comes to the RBI rate cuts?
The interest rates are still above where they were pre-pandemic, and so as long as inflation is within the target range of the RBI, I think at least another 25 to 50 basis points, maybe if another two rate cuts can happen in the near future, in the coming months, that is.
Okay. Fair point. Apart from this, towards the end, we have just about 5 minutes with you, Chakri. If you could help us understand, any other key sectors that you're getting more bullish on, or any theme that you believe is now set to, take center stage from here on.
If you look at what has happened, there are a few points. One is oil is down about 20% over the year. RBI has cut interest rates by a good amount. Third, the fiscal deficit of the country is in place. So all these are very excellent ingredients for the cyclical sectors to pick up. And for the cyclical spend, the RBI surplus transfer that they released last week, that will help government spend more on infrastructure. So, which means all the industrials as a sector and banking is something which we clearly like.
Okay, fair point. Now, apart from this, Chakri, also just wanted to get a sense from you when it comes to, some of the sectors like autos, for instance. How are you looking at that? Do you think a large part of the headwinds and the negatives are already priced in, or still do you believe there is a trial phase that the companies will have to go through, over the next few months until the time the festive season starts, of course?
Yeah. Now the festive season is actually not too far away. Another 2-3 months will pretty much be there. And, with the interest rates now being cut, that is an additional fillip. Today, if you look at M&M's results, their volumes are very strong up year over year. And, companies like Bajaj Auto, Hero Motor are still, valuations are very attractive, taking into account all kinds of negatives. So clearly, autos as space will again continue to do well, I believe.
Autos as a space will continue to do well. All right, Chakri, we'll leave you at that. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time as always for being with us on the show and guiding us through various sectors and stocks that you marked out for all our viewers. Hope you have a fantastic time. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, we'll continue our conversation with Vaishali now. Vaishali, we are nearly the first, 15 minutes of a candle being formed at this point in time. Looks good so far, as the markets are concerned, in the healthy shape across the board, Nifty banks, sectoral action, as well as the broader markets as well. Where do you think that this momentum will continue? Will it again be the large caps? So far, it's been the banks, IT, heavyweights that have supported the rally and the recovery in the markets. Will it still be that concentration, and should one keep their focus there?
I think it will be still, of course, on a broad base, the focus should be on the front line, but also some of the quality mid-cap stocks, cash category, they cannot be ruled out because there are quite a few stocks which are technically very well placed. So I would definitely focus on stock specific. Now I would also give it a thought on pharma sector. See, if you have a look at Loris, if you have a look at Zydus, Lupin, these are all technically very well placed. So I think this should, one can see a new round of momentum coming in the pharma stocks. And of course, yes. And the oil stocks, that is NGL, Oil India, they are looking good, technically well placed. So that's one other counter. And we were also talking about MCX, IEX. So they are doing well. So I am focusing on, IEX still has scope for further upside. I guess maybe banking stocks can take a breather, but the other stocks need to be looked into.
Fair point. I hope this has also helped all our viewers out get a sense of where can one really look at. Talk to us about the metals aspect. You did start off this conversation today with Vedanta as the stock that you would be looking at from the mining and metal space. Are you adding some more stocks to this list as well?
So, Sakshi, on the cash counter, if you look at OMDC, GMDC, they all look good to me. If you see Orissa Mine, the stock has really corrected from 10,000 levels and currently at 5,1. So it's nearly, and to support my view, it's taken a support of the 200-day moving average of, 4,500. Just oscillating in this band, I'm talking about Orissa Mine. So, this will be a laggard, but it should give good returns. The other stock, which is already in a strong uptrend, is GMDC. So GMDC is another stock to my liking. One can buy it in decline. 360 acts as a support, and this can go towards 500 and higher.
Okay, got that. So we'll definitely keep an eye out on the metals space as well. Let's look at a few gainers today. Capri Global is up by 9.5% at 166. Very strong move. MCure Pharma, remember Pharma is something where Shali was talking about, 5% higher. And the stock has actually seen some good days in the recent past. Hyundai Motor we marked out, 4.5% higher. Balu Forbes, that's up 11% as well. Those are some of the stocks that are actually, hovering much higher in trades today. Let's also look at 52-week high stocks. So, of course, we have MCX and Hyundai Motor that we marked. Reliance Power is another one that's at a 52-week high. Muthoot Finance is also at a 52-week high as well. So, those are the stocks that are showing us some momentum and are at 52-week highs too. Anything from this list of stocks that catches your attention, Vaishali?
Sorry, I missed you. What's the question?
So basically, I was just talking about the stocks on a 52-week high note today. Anything that you believe is all set to further power higher?
Well, hard to tell, but well, I would look at CDSL, Bharat Dynamics. Those are the stocks which are still doing well. So look at Bharat Dynamics.
Bharat Dynamics. In fact, let's actually pull up the defense names which we haven't touched today to discuss what else is ticking on the higher side. Remember, last 1 week we celebrated some very strong moves on the shipbuilders, names like GRSE, for instance, Cochin Shipyard, for instance, Mazagon. Those were the ones that were really leading the rally. If you look in the last 1 week alone, 12% higher for Garden Reach, 21% up for Cochin Shipyard as well. So that's something that you can quickly see as to how some stocks have moved. Now it's BDL that Vaishali believes is all set to power higher. What about shipbuilders? Are they done with their recent move? Will there be some consolidation now, Vaishali, there?
So I would say, well, we have seen a very good run up in Musgao docks as well as, so maybe we may see a sideways move or some profit booking. I am not tracking these for the moment, but well, the other stocks are still HAL, they still look promising.
They still look promising. Okay, fine. We'll definitely keep an eye out on that. What about railway stocks? Today, again, some order flows have actually come in through on rights and several others, and those were the stocks that we were talking about even last week. Anything that will carry on the momentum from the railway story?
So yes, as you said, rights, that is one of the stocks. I mean, I guess these would act well for a positional trade because we have already suggested these as a buy, and the view continues to be positive. So I would say yes, hold for a good return from here on because the run up is yet to come.
The run-up is yet to come. Okay. Defense and railways, that's the pockets that has been in news, and we'll definitely keep one eye on that one as well. Vaishali, where do you think one still has to have some caution? Which of the sectors or the segments of the market are not participating in this recovery? What would you point out?
So, well, right now FMCG is quite in a lull, though we expect it to. So that is one sector. Then even as we spoke about pharma, which is showing some ray of hope. I mean, we are seeing some momentum coming in, and auto is slow. So let's see.
Okay. So we are looking at FMCG space, which is probably still in a lull at this point in time. How would you really look at the discretionary names, consumer discretionary? That's something that Chakri pointed out that he's still positive on. Is that a space that interests you at all, Vishali?
So well, Tata Consumer is one of the stocks which looks good. Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm not really tracking these stocks right now, but yes, I do like Tata Consumer at these levels.
What about names within retail, names like Trent, which were 12 favorites? How would you look at that?
So Trent was already in good momentum last week, and I think it is coming out of its consolidation. So I think there is still scope, but buying level would be 54, 5,500. That would be the level that one can look for to buy the stock and look for a trading target of 6,200 to start with.
Okay, got that. We'll definitely focus on that. Let's discuss oil and gas as well, where Charlie, we haven't touched base upon that, especially the city gas distributors, names like GAIL, MGL for that matter. Anything that strikes your attention on that front?
So we are looking at MGL. That looks quite strong. It has been consolidating, and right now it's at 1364. I think this should do well. We can see a target of 1450. Today's candle is quite bullish, but we need to see a follow-on buying from this.
Okay, we need to see a follow-on buy there too. How about the travel and the tourism space, Vaishali? We are in the thick of summer. People planning their vacations at this point in time. Some have already taken off as well. How would you really look at, the hotel chains, hospitality names, aviation, Indigo for that matter, even for that matter, names which are in the visa space, ticketing space, booking space as well. So, how would you look to trade this entire space right now?
So, in fact, luggage. Have a look at
Luggage as
Safari.
well.
Yes. So, well, I would definitely start with aviation. Indigo is my all-time stock that I would focus on.
Yes.
And it is in a very good trend. So, my view continues to be bullish for that too. In fact, Indian Hotel and all, they have been taking a breather. So, I would consider now Indian Hotel, Chalet, they all look good to me at these levels.
Okay, got that. So that's the hotel space. Let's also look at Cloth Bangalore and see how that one is, probably in focus. Remember, Leela Hotels is something that came up for a discussion before the IPO, and we discussed that space quite widely with all our experts, talking about whether, this space is something that one should be looking at. But there was a lot of question mark on the valuation front as well. Would you be closely tracking Leela Hotels
Well, I
now?
don't have much of a data, Sakshi, so I
Of
won't be
course.
able to
Of
say that.
course, it's just recently listed, so you don't have any
Yeah,
data.
so I
But
would definitely be looking at EIH and also Indian Hotel. So those are the stocks which would grab the opportunity when the momentum starts. So Indian Hotel, I'm very comfortable with. Even Chalet looks good from these levels. So yes, the
okay,
sector on the whole should do well.
fair point. You know what else is ticking higher at fresh highs? You talked about CDSL. Remember, Vaishali, is something that
Yes,
you're looking at. Look at
yes,
BSC. It's at a
yes,
fresh high,
yes.
2.9% higher now, 3017 odd levels. Remember, viewers, this is after the split that we are finally seeing fresh moves take place. I think from 2000 to 3000 and above, the move has been pretty swift, 3% higher, all time high levels for BSC. Should one still step in, take some of the pie, or not now?
So depending if you are a trader, then of course you need to keep a trading stop loss and look for next target of 3200. But definitely not a buy for a fresh entry. I would say continue holding. In fact, along with this, CAMS should not be overlooked because that needs to buck up. And CAMS is in a trend. I would say, well, one can see still furthermore upside in CAMS.
One can still see furthermore upside in CAMS as well. So capital markets and thick of action. What about K FinTech? How would you look at that?
Let me have a look at the chart.
Absolutely. So because we have actually seen an across the board move whenever the space moves in tandem.
Yes, so K FinTech also, I mean, of course, has been doing very well. And currently it is at a resistance of 1320. Once we see the stock moving above, I think it's ready for a takeoff towards perhaps even 1700 also.
Okay, so that's something that we will definitely look at as well. Keep an eye out on the capital market story. Would you also take this further to the brokerage houses as well, Vaishali? Motilal
So,
Oswal, IIFL, Angel, any of
yes.
those?
So Angel is one of the stocks which has been quite in momentum since quite some time. It's already shown a good upward move. I continue to stay positive. In fact, last week we saw GM Finance. So time to look into Edelweiss also because that is at a good level. I would focus on that.
You will focus on that. Okay, fair point. We'll definitely look at that aspect too. Within the NBFCs, again, Geo Finance is catching my attention above 300 odd levels, 2.3% higher. That's at a 5-month high as well, Vaishali. Geo Financial, are you looking at any fresh moves that can be triggered from here on as well on Geo?
I would think so because the stock is in fact in a very strong position. It has moved beyond all the resistances of all the moving averages. And now I would
Hmm.
say this could go towards, well, for a long term, I would say to start with 340, 350 would be the next target and start accumulating with the support of 275. So I am quite bullish on this stock. Chartically, it looks very appealing even now.
Very appealing even now. Keep an eye out on Geo Finance viewers, 300 levels right now. Muthoot and Manappuram Finance are also in focus within the NBFCs. In fact, they are trading at fresh highs as well. So you're looking at that space also continuously up in thick action. Between Muthoot and Manappuram, would you have a choice to pick here, Vaishali?
I'll just see both of these and get back. So
Yes. So
Muthoot already showing strength. In fact, I think this should continue to do well the way the candle formation is. This can go towards 2800 levels. And now, if I'm looking at Manappuram, well, that too is doing well. But Muthoot chart is very good. And let's have a look at Manappuram. Similar pattern. So I think both these stocks should do well.
okay, got that. I hope this has also helped all our viewers out understanding, this key space. But we were talking about autos being in the slow radar right now, Vaishali. But Hyundai Motor is something again where you will have very limited data to talk about. But help us understand with Hyundai now touching fresh highs, is the space now getting back into action, or the stock specifically, maybe?
So I would say yes, Hyundai has been doing very well, and I think this should do. The gap up opening today implies the inherent strength. Today's candle volume, everything is good. So yes, but along with this, also auto ancillary should not be overlooked. So today I'm looking at Bharat Forge that is doing very well. Even Jamna Auto. So yes, I think auto sector may be in a lull, but it's not does not mean it won't participate. Even Tata Motors today is doing well. So yes, I would look at these stocks.
Okay, definitely. We'll definitely keep an eye out on this space as well. And let's not forget, many other stocks within this space too that have been in focus. M&M, for that instance, sales continue on the higher side as well. Would you continue to bet on M&M as well, Vaishali?
Well, M&M has been quite a laggard. I mean, it was
Yeah.
on our list, but it has
Mm.
just not, it's not showing any movement. Though it has maintained, it's held on to its trend. So what it
Mm.
needs to do is it needs to move past 32, 3,300. That has been a tough resistance since quite a while. So I guess right now I would take it as a trading range of 3,000 to 3,300. Let's see which way it goes. And about 3,300, it would show us some confirmation of further strength.
Okay, got that. In the meanwhile, I'll just highlight for our viewers, Tata Motors has come out with some uptake for 2027, the commercial vehicle outlook. Tata Motors has said that free cash flow will be 7 to 9% of the revenue for the company. And what they're also seeing is that they also believe to sustain the ROCE and reduce volatility going forward as well. They also have given this outlook for FY26 and beyond now, talking about this is while holding the investor and analyst meet today. There is some indication that that could come in to give us an overview on Tata Motors. So those holding Tata Motors, which will be many of the retail investors, must definitely look at all of those statements that will be coming out from the analyst meeting today, because that's likely to give you the next 2 years view from the company as well. So they are positive about achieving 40% market share and teens of EBITDA also going forward. Those are some of the statements that are coming in from Tata Motors already. Capex, they expect 2 to 4% of the revenue. That's the 2027 CV outlook that they are sharing at this point in time. Keep an eye out on that. Remember, after that division that has happened between PVs and CVs, it's an important trigger to watch out for those holding Tata Motors. First half an hour candle now merely formed. Vaishali, what should one keep in mind?
For Tata Motors, you're asking me?
For overall markets.
Sorry?
For the overall markets, first half an hour candle is formed now.
I guess market is holding on, so
Continue.
I continue to have a positive bias. So yes, stay focused on opportunities and yeah.
Okay,
In fact,
so the
IT. Have a
top,
look at IT. Have a look at
yeah.
IT now. In fact, even Eternal, that is Zomato, is back in action. So I think if it sustains, look at targets of 280, 290 coming in. PSU banks are again in focus. So yes, I think the market is giving you plenty of opportunities.
plenty of opportunities to really look at into the markets right now. L&T, there is an update, 1,000 to 2,500 odd crore rupees of range of orders that are coming in for the companies. So that's something that we are looking at within the large cap space too. This is pump storage project orders that the company is getting right now. So L&T is back in focus as well. So keep an eye out on all of these news flows. I think this will augur well. The day pans out to be strong, as Vaishali has pointed out. Vaishali, top 2 or 3 stocks that you will continue to look at through the course of the day.
So we spoke about Bandhan Bank surging very
Yes.
well, doing very well.
Yes.
We spoke about MCX, that is also doing very well.
Yes.
So now new stock that comes on the radar is in the cash category, Praj. Praj is showing momentum. Volume is picking up. So I think one can look at it.
Okay, got that. We'll keep an eye out on that. Vaishali, we'll thank you then for that update on the markets and, of course, navigating through various stock opportunities for our viewers as well. It's always good to spot the markets with you and, of course, find out some brilliant ideas that our viewers can definitely use. Hope you have a fantastic day. We'll see you soon.
You too. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, 25,107 on the Nifty, viewers. It's panned out to be a rather decent first half an hour of trade. Slightly volatile, but we've held on. In fact, we are now trying to move up further. Nifty bank fresh highs. You can see 56,962 now. IT index now, Vaishali, while going, she said that IT is something that you should definitely keep an eye out on. It's 1% higher in trade. Banks are also 1% higher. So the heavyweight stocks are definitely and sectors are supporting the sentiments. PSU banks, 2% higher in trade. So the banks, financials, PSU banks, those are the ones that are the leading pocket. You can also see the IT stocks that are up and about in trade. If we look at, the kind of move that we are seeing across the sectors, I'll be happy to point out for you how the space is moving forward. I think I see a green across the board, barring real estate, which is now muted. Remember, by nearly 5% up is what you saw real estate index right after the RBI rate cut came through on Friday. So some, muted trend over there, which is absolutely understandable. But rest of the pockets are all up. IT, PSU banks. You're also seeing financial services. The other, telecom names that are up and about as well. Pharma stocks slightly up in trade. You're also seeing some gains come back on the, FMCG space as well. But private banks, clearly, banks, financials, those are the ones that are leading, and IT stocks also supporting the sentiments. Within the IT, if we look at where the gains are actually coming in from, mid caps, you can see Oracle Financial, Emphasis persistent up. Then within the large caps, you have Infosys that's higher, TCS that's higher, Wipro that's higher, Tech Mahindra that's up. So across the board that you are seeing gains within this space as well. Of course, as we go along through the course of the day, there'll be so much to really keep an eye out on, news flows that will be impacting the stock markets and the sentiment. So stay tuned with us onto Business Today Television as we continue to watch the markets with various stock market experts through the course of the day. And of course, daily calls will answer all your stock related queries at 12 noon. So don't forget to log on to that on Business Today YouTube that time.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to you